first time I saw Hundreds Hall was July 1919. Nothing could have prepared me for the spell it cast. When I saw the house again 30 years later, I could hardly comprehend the change in the place.
Hi, I'm Raj from
Raj, very nice to meet you.
Pleasure meeting you. Tell us a bit about Little Stranger.
It's based on Sarah Waters' novel, set in the late 40s. It's the story of a doctor who comes back to the village he grew up in and is called out to treat a patient in the rather crumbling large house where his mother once worked as a maid. And it's about, he starts to get pulled into the lives of this family, is drawn to the daughter, and a kind of relationship starts up between them. And meanwhile, odd and rather disconcerting things start to happen.
Having seen the film, it's got great atmosphere, great acting. How did you find the location?
The location was one of the biggest challenges. You know, we looked at a lot of places. There are some amazing houses which are in such good repair and so kind of meticulously looked after that you cannot touch them or change anything, and we needed to do a lot. And so we needed to find a house that was in itself, you know, the right period, but beginning, but sort of also where we would be allowed to do what we needed to do. And this place is in Langleybury, quite close to London.
Okay.
So when you walk out of the house, unlike the way we managed to construct the pictures in the film, what you see is like car parks and, you know, 70s buildings.
Right.
In fact, we had to do a lot of the usual trickery, but the house itself had the right bones for us.
Right. And how do you go about creating the atmosphere? Because it's got a very nice atmosphere during the film.
Well, I think it's a combination of things. It's the way the script is written by Lucinda, but it's also a lot through sound. I mean, there's a load of sound work, so there's a lot of odd, rich sound design going on. And then it's just the story itself. And you know, as you're gradually aware that things in the house are not as they seem, I think, you know, people respond to those mysterious elements. And you know, you're also using what people bring with them, expectations of this kind of story. So you're starting to play with those. It's a complicated business of building atmosphere.
And how do you feel about the supernatural yourself?
I'm not a believer, so I'm not personally a sort of, you know, I don't watch Paranormal Activity and go, oh my God, and I don't really believe in ghosts. But I have to say, having been in that house for quite a long time, telling that story, I wouldn't really fancy spending the night there.
Did you find the crew, the cast and the crew sort of took on that atmosphere?
Well, I'll tell you one thing I really did notice was that people talked more quietly in the house.
Right.
And it was and I wonder, we kept saying, why are we doing this? Why are we whispering?
Right.
And I think the house itself had this funny, odd atmosphere, and maybe it was because of the story we knew we were telling.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did impose itself on us. So I think the crew in the end, you know, we also shot in other locations, and definitely there was a sort of sense of relief when you were out of the house for a little while, and then you go back into that really quite odd, dark interior of the place.
Did it have that atmosphere before you got there?
I think we might have brought it with us. I blame us.
Right. So what would you say to viewers wanting to watch this film? What would be the one thing they take away from that?
I think it's the best way to go into it is it's not a horror movie.
Yeah.
So it's not a jump scare movie. There's definitely a sort of ghostly element and an unsettling atmosphere, but it's really a drama. So I don't know, if like I'd say Downton Abbey meets The Others might be a kind of bit of a, you know, one of those meets pitches. But best thing is just go in and let it have its effect on you.
And any interesting anecdotes on set?
We did find, you know, there's a scene in which there's a fire.
Yeah.
So we did it. We did actually do that for real. And what was really odd about it was just for days and days afterwards, that smell of smoke was in the air.
Right.
And it kind of somehow felt like that worked its way into the scenes that we shot afterwards. But yeah, I mean, I would tell you what, here's my favorite anecdote from the film was, I lost a bet to Donald Gleeson about halfway through the shooting, where he said, okay, the downside of this is you have to direct one day in costume.
Right.
And I thought they'd forgotten, and we got to the last day of the shoot, and he presented me with a World War II pilot's outfit, and I got a moustache from makeup, and I did a day in that wardrobe. Right. That was quite an experience. But luckily we weren't shooting anything particularly, you know, emotional. I don't think I could have.
Is there evidence of you wearing this?
I do have some pictures, which I may or may not choose to share. They may surface at some point.
And how was it working with Donald Gleeson?
It's great. I mean, I've worked with him before, worked with him on Frank, and we became friends. And we're both from the same place. We're both Irish, both from Dublin. And he's a brilliant collaborator. He's a great actor, but he's got a great mind when it comes to filmmaking. So he's somebody that you can talk to about the project as a whole, not just his role in it.
Right.
And we share a sense of humour, so we managed to have some laughs in the process.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
There's something in this house that hates us. You do not belong here. You.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. If you like this video, be sure to click that thumbs up button at the bottom of your screen. And also be sure to subscribe to the Fan Carpet YouTube channels. They're absolutely free and so much fun too. Be sure to check out the official website, thefancarpet.com. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date with reviews, competitions, the latest news, and so much more.